somebody gonna think it's a great opportunity because this young guy, he think he bought it. He think he on this win streak, you know, but I'm pound for pound. Come show me. Come show me his levels today. I really want to find out. Because I always gonna claim and I'm always gonna tell you I'm the world's best. But you actually got the number by your name. You number one. Once that move is made by him, that's the biggest fight.
That's the fight to make, right? You versus Islam when you beat Bilal.
Holy what a fight. Holy
No,
I was not, bro.
I think he wants to kind of do something a little different. He wants to, make his mark in the UFC history by becoming double champ, and it makes sense. I mean, he's done what he can with the 155ers. Obviously, Ilia Topuria wants to come up and wants to make that fight happen, but I would like to see that fight. I really would like to. If he goes up and wins it, you gotta fight. You gotta fight Topuria after.
After a thrilling encounter at UFC 315, where Jack Della Maddalena dethroned Bilal Muhammad and became the new welterweight champion, things are getting interesting for the upcoming fights in this division. While Islam Makhachev is likely to move up and fight JDM for the belt, Joaquin Buckley has called out Islam for a fight in the welterweight division.
Really trying to put some promotion behind the fight, you need the fighter to participate with the storyline. And even though me and Islam have never had a connection, I tell you right now, he gonna know a lot about me.
The welterweight fighter Joaquin Buckley believes he would be the biggest nightmare for Islam Makhachev, and he should fight him next. Joaquin Buckley believes that he would be Islam Makhachev's toughest challenge. He pointed out that Islam has shown some weaknesses in past fights, and Buckley thinks he can take full advantage of those. On the other hand, he said JDM has a lot of holes in his game that Islam could easily exploit. Buckley mentioned that some of JDM's flaws were clear in the Gilbert Burns fight, and even in other fights before that.
The people that he has struggled with and the people that have shown a couple holes in his game, I'm going to be his worst nightmare. Not JDM. JDM has a lot of holes that Islam can exploit. And we didn't see that with the Gilbert Burns fight. Actually, we didn't see it with several fights from JDM, right?
Joaquin Buckley said that based on what he's done, like his big win over Kevin Holland and what he plans to do to Kamaru Usman, Islam Makhachev might start second-guessing the idea of moving up to welterweight. Buckley believes even Islam's team could start warning him that it might not be the best move. He made it clear that he's aiming for that pound-for-pound spot and wants to prove people wrong. Buckley reflected on how many once doubted him, calling him a one-hit wonder or just another name, but now he's getting recognition, and while he appreciates the support, he hasn't forgotten the criticism.
But with me though, and what I did to Kobe and what I'm gonna do to Kamaru Usman, Islam is gonna be in his head. Even Habib probably gonna tell his ass, maybe moving up ain't a good idea.
Yeah.
I bet you. But I'm hunting for that. I want that pound for pound.
I would love that
For the
fight,
longest time,
honestly.
everybody telling me I was just gonna be a journeyman. One kick wonder, right? Now look at me. I'm getting a lot of love though. Don't get it twisted, but I ain't forgot the though.
Joaquin Buckley criticized Bilal Muhammad's performance, suggesting that Bilal no longer seems interested in fighting in welterweight because of his close relationship with Islam Makhachev. Buckley questioned whether Bilal even wants to stay in the welterweight division much longer. Still, he made it clear that he wants to fight Bilal and add him to his resume. And once that happens, Buckley said everyone will know he's coming for Islam next.
Bilal acting like he don't even want to fight no more because his brother, Islam, right? He either want to move up or like, you know what I'm saying? Like he having these little conversations, right? So I don't even know how long Bilal really want to stay at 170. But I do want Bilal on my resume too. And then once I beat Bilal, you already know what time it is, right?
Joaquin Buckley said that he is ready to fight Islam, who is a young, confident fighter riding a winning streak. But Buckley made it clear he considers himself pound for pound the best and wants someone to come prove him wrong. He said there are levels to this game and he's ready to find out who really sits at the top. Buckley acknowledged that Islam Makhachev holds the #1 spot and said that once Islam moves up in weight, that's the biggest fight that can be made.
Somebody gonna think it's a great opportunity because this young guy, he think he bought it. He think he on this win streak, you know, but I'm pound for pound. Come show me. Come show me his levels today. I really want to find out. Because I always gonna claim and I'm always gonna tell you I'm the world's best. But you actually got the number by your name. You number one. You over
Islam.
John Jones.
Islam.
You know who it is. But my thing is, though, once that move is made by him, that's the biggest fight.
That's the fight to make, right? You versus Islam when you beat Bilal.
Furthermore, Joaquin Buckley criticized Islam Makhachev for showing support against Bilal Muhammad, calling it out as hypocritical behavior. Islam was supporting JDM at UFC 315 because he wanted to move up and become a double champion. Buckley expressed his disappointment by saying it's wrong to pray for the downfall of someone you consider a brother. Joaquin Buckley stated, "Crazy praying for your so-called brother's downfall." On the other hand, Alexander Volkanovski was also fired up to see his countryman Jack Della Maddalena defeating Bilal Muhammad at UFC 315 and bringing the second UFC title to Australia. In a recent reaction video of UFC 315 on his YouTube channel, Volkanovski was seen enjoying the fight between Bilal and JDM, and he was very happy to see Jack winning the fight.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. He's winning this now. It's all damage, right? You remember that. People got taken down. All damage. All Jack. Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. There you go, baby. Gotta be Jack. That's Jack. 49, 46, gotta be Jack. And new. New.
Alexander Volkanovski further praised Jack Della Maddalena for his impressive win and congratulated him on bringing a second UFC belt home to Australia. He called it an incredible performance against a tough, well-rounded opponent in Bilal Muhammad. Volk highlighted Jack's dominance in the final round, noting that even from the bottom position, Jack did all the damage, hurt Bilal multiple times, and landed the most significant strikes. He emphasized that the performance was more than enough to secure the victory.
But Della, well done, my man. That's an incredible victory. Massive win against a tough, well-rounded opponent in Bilal. Incredible. 2 belts to Australia. That last round, I'm like, he had to have won that even though it was on the bottom. It was all damage. Hurt him a few times, landed all the damaging shots. It was just too much. So that was incredible performance for Della.
UFC legend Daniel Cormier was highly impressed with Jack Della Maddalena's performance, praising both his striking and takedown defense. He said Jack looked as good as he's ever seen him inside the octagon. Cormier emphasized that when a fighter gets a title shot, they need to be more prepared than ever before, and in Jack's case, he absolutely delivered on that.
This guy's striking looked amazing tonight. His takedown defense looked amazing tonight. Jack Della Maddalena was as good as we've ever seen him in the octagon. They say when you finally earn an opportunity to fight for the belt, you need to be more prepared than you've ever been. That is the case for Jack Della today.
Daniel Cormier analyzed Bilal Muhammad's performance and pointed out that he gave up 0 takedowns until the 4th round. While he initially thought Bilal was fighting the wrong strategy by standing and trading with Jack Della Maddalena, Cormier admitted that Bilal may not have had any other choice as Jack looked that sharp. He noted how frequently Jack's right hand landed throughout the fight and said if Bilal didn't have such a strong chin, he likely would have been finished. What impressed Cormier the most, aside from Jack's takedown defense, was his sheer willingness to fight.
He gave up 0 takedowns until the 4th round. I was talking about Bilal in the fight saying he was fighting the wrong fight because he was standing and trading with Della Maddalena. But the reality is, I don't think he had an option to do anything but stand and trade with Jack Della Maddalena because he looked that good. His right hand landed so many times over the course of this fight. And if Bilal didn't have such a great chin, he would have been put out. I think what impressed me the most, though, outside of the takedown defense, was his willingness to fight.
Daniel Cormier praised Jack Della Maddalena for his incredible performance and becoming the new UFC welterweight champion. However, he noted that there wouldn't be much time for Jack to celebrate, as the UFC had already announced at the press conference that if Jack won, Islam Makhachev would move up to fight him next for the welterweight title. Cormier emphasized how big this matchup is. The number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world versus an undefeated UFC fighter who's now on an 18-fight win streak, beating someone like Belal Muhammad, who is a top-tier wrestler, and showing strong takedown defense proved that Jack is ready for the next level.
He fought a wonderful fight, and now he is the UFC welterweight champion. And you would think that when you get a big win like that, there's a lot of time to celebrate. Unfortunately for Jack Della, right away he gets Islam Makhachev. The UFC said the other day at the press conference, Jack Della wins, Makhachev will go up and fight Jack Della Maddalena for the welterweight championship of the world. Number one pound-for-pound guy in the world, and Della Maddalena will fly up those pound-for-pound rankings. This is an undefeated guy in the UFC, a guy that has not lost in 18 straight fights now, a guy that's carrying confidence of beating a guy like Belal Muhammad. If there's a guy to fight before you fight Islam, it's a guy like Belal who wrestles and uses it as his main tool and be able to defend in the way that Jack Della did.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson thinks Islam would struggle in the welterweight division, while sharing his thoughts about who he thinks would win if Islam Makhachev moved up to welterweight to fight Jack Della Maddalena. Thompson admitted that it's hard to say. He pointed out that welterweights are big guys, as many of them walk around at over 200 pounds, and while Islam walks around fairly heavy, he might be undersized at 170. Thompson said Islam is a great grappler and could definitely win, but it wouldn't be easy. He noted that JDM has already faced some of the best wrestlers in the division, including Belal Muhammad, and that would make it a very tough fight for Islam.
Let's say Islam comes up to your weight division and fights Jack. Who do you think wins?
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I've faced would walk around at that weight. I think the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JD might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler, but like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division, Belal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him.
Stephen Thompson said he personally would love to see Islam Makhachev fight Ilia Topuria. He noted that getting the UFC to make a fight like that usually starts with building hype and getting fans talking. Thompson acknowledged that Islam has already started doing that, so now it's up to the UFC to decide if they want to book the fight.
I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that fight happens with JDM.
Stephen Thompson also believes Islam Makhachev should be allowed to keep his lightweight title even if he moves up to fight at welterweight. He pointed out that the UFC has had double champions before, like Daniel Cormier, Conor McGregor, and Henry Cejudo, so there's no reason why Islam shouldn't get the same opportunity. Thompson added that Islam has done a lot at 155 pounds, and that even if he wins at welterweight, his true weight class will likely remain lightweight.
Do you think Islam should be able to retain his lightweight belt? Let's say it's Ilya and Charles. Should that be for the interim belt, in your opinion? Should the UFC let Islam hang on to his belt after everything he's accomplished?
I think so. I mean, why not? I mean, we've had double champs before, and it's been a while since we had, double champs. When was the last double champ, if you mind me asking?
It's a good question. Well, we had DC, right? He was a double champ.
I know Conor McGregor was a double champ, obviously.
Henry Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo. But it's been a while since we've had a double champ. So, what Islam has done in the 155 division, I don't see why not. Let him hang on to it. If he goes up and beats Belal, awesome. We'll see if he stays in the welterweight division. But I think his true division is going to be the 155.
The former English mixed martial artist Dan Hardy was also very impressed with Jack Della Maddalena's performance and how he brought another belt back to Australia. He mentioned that he's always been a fan of Jack's boxing, but this time it looked like Jack had leveled up. Hardy praised his takedown defense as nearly impenetrable and said his footwork looked especially sharp. He added that Jack didn't just show up tough and conditioned, that he came in with a game plan that was clearly tailored for Belal Muhammad.
What was your reaction when you saw he was able to do it, man, and bring another belt back to Australia?
I was so impressed. I mean, you know, we've discussed Della Maddalena before. You know, I'm a big fan of his boxing, and I like you said, he looked like he'd leveled up. I mean, his takedown defense was near impenetrable. I thought his footwork was very, very good as well. Not that it isn't always, but I think it was way more prepared for Belal than than I expected it to be. I thought he'd come in as a tough, durable, conditioned version of himself, whereas he actually was very, very tailored towards what he expected from Belal.
Dan Hardy is also excited to see Islam Makhachev move up to fight Jack Della Maddalena, calling it one of the best super fights possible right now, second only to John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. He noted that Makhachev doesn't plan to give up his lightweight title, but questioned how that would go with the UFC since they seem to be moving away from allowing double champs.
I thought he was very, very impressive. You know, it would be awesome to see Makhachev move up and fight him. You know, I did see that Makhachev said he's not gonna relinquish his lightweight belt. So I don't know how that's gonna fly with the UFC, because I think they're putting a stop on double champs now, aren't they? But it would be a fight I would love to see. You know, that's probably one of the best super fights you could make right now, aside from obviously John Jones against Tom Aspinall, which is the blockbuster.
Hardy further said he's unsure how long JDM will hold the belt, but he doesn't believe Makhachev would be the one to take it from him. He emphasized that Makhachev is so dominant at lightweight that he could beat anyone there, even Ilia Topuria, but he's not sure Islam would be as successful at welterweight.
I think Della Maddalena's got a bright future. I don't know whether he's going to hold the belt or he's going to lose it to another one of the top contenders and then pick it back up again. I don't think he's going to lose it to Makhachev, though. I think Makhachev holds the lightweight belt against anybody in the world, on any day, including Ilia Topuria. I don't think if he moved up, he would have much success against Makhachev.
Dan Hardy believes if Islam Makhachev wins the welterweight title, it would cement his legacy and put him on MMA's Mount Rushmore. He already sees Islam as the current pound-for-pound best. Hardy thinks the welterweight division is wide open right now, making it a good time for Islam to move up and make history.
If Islam goes up to welterweight and wins that second belt, what do you think that does for him in terms of his legacy? Surely that just puts him on the Mount Rushmore, right, of MMA?
I mean, it does for me. He's pound for pound best right now, anyway, in my mind. It would be very, very impressive. He is the kind of fighter that can definitely make that transition. And honestly, I do feel like the welterweight division is open right now for someone to come in and cause an upset. There's been times in the past where it would have been harder for someone to come up from another weight class and do that, but now seems like it's primed. It's a little bit unsettled. The belt's kind of moving around a bit.
As the welterweight division heats up with Jack Della Maddalena now holding the belt, all eyes are on what comes next. Islam Makhachev is likely to make history as a double champ, and there is almost no chance that he will respond to Joaquin Buckley call-out. So, with UFC legends, top analysts, and fans all buzzing about potential matchups, one thing is clear: the welterweight division is entering a new era. From rising contenders to reigning champions, the road ahead is stacked with challenges, and the drama is only just beginning. So subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get instant notification about the latest updates.